to the program. My name is Joan Miller, and our guest today is Cheryl Green. Cheryl and I met years ago at a brain injury support group. Cheryl's a filmmaker and she makes documentaries. Welcome to the program, Cheryl.
Thank you, Joan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Having a traumatic brain injury myself, I quickly discovered how the media focuses on how a person got an injury, their rehabilitation, and their aftermath. Your DVD, Who Am I to Stop It, focuses on something completely different. Why did you want your film to be so different?
Oh, that's a great question. So my co-director and co-producer, Cynthia Lopez, and I looked at a lot of media, and we really wanted to make something that we weren't seeing anywhere else. So a lot of brain injury related media, whether it's news or fiction or documentary, most of it focuses, like you said, on this very sensational moment of the wreck and, ooh, what's wrong with you? And there's also often a lot of focus on doctors and clinicians in rehab. And we found that in the media and in the science research and the rehab research, we really only get stories of people in that first 12 months after the brain injury. So when it comes to research, it's really hard to organize research and expensive, and it's hard to get funding to be able to follow people for years and years to see what their life becomes afterward.
Oh.
And then, you know, with media, I think a lot of audiences really believe that what they want is that sensational wreck story.
Sure.
They want to see something gruesome and then feel better, oh, the person lived.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, exactly. And those stories are valuable and need to be out there, but I think that sometimes telling a story of trauma just to tell it, I don't know that that really serves a bigger purpose. So we wanted to look at what is life like years down the road, outside of rehab, because when we only have these rehab related stories in that first 12 months, people tend to think of us as lifelong patients. I've spoken at events where I was introduced as a TBI patient, and I'm not in rehab anymore.
A TBI?
Traumatic brain injury.
Oh, yeah.
But I was introduced as a patient.
Oh.
At an event that was media related. And even if I was a patient, nobody in that room was my doctor, but I'm still introduced as a patient. And I think it's because we don't see the full, complex, well-rounded picture of people's lives way down the road, so we think of them as patients forever.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate and it's limiting, and I've had people say, why would you make a documentary about people with brain injury? They can't do anything. And I've had people ask me, did you really make that film? So either they think that people with brain injuries can't make a film, and by the way, I didn't make it alone. Cynthia was my partner on it. We had a whole crew and a team. Or they think I couldn't really have possibly had a brain injury, or else how could I do something as clever as make a film? So we want to get past these stereotypes. We want to get past this stigma that we're just patients and all we care about is medical stuff. And
I like it.
Yeah. The other thing that this documentary does is we show it's very realistic. It's not about inspiring people. It's not about just looking for the story of triumph. There is triumph in the film. There's a lot of self-determination and empowerment, but there's struggle. There's isolation.
So it's a real story.
It's a very real story, yes. There's isolation, there's stigma, poverty. We look at education, work, sexuality, relationships, family. It's very complex because I want people to see that people with brain injuries are a complex people still.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And if people don't know, they don't know. So to bring awareness to this, that's going on.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, how can people see your DVD, Who Am I to Stop It?
Yeah, so Who Am I to Stop It has educational distribution through New Day Films, and it is a film distribution company focused on social issue related documentaries. And what that means, educational distribution, is that anybody at a school, and by the way, this is really for high school and up.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for middle school or below. But anybody at a school, university, hospital, nonprofit, brain injury support organization, any of them can buy the DVD or a license to watch it streaming through their organization. And that all of that information is at the New Day Films website, newday.com. I suddenly realized I can't remember if it's New Day Films or New Day. Let me grab this DVD and find out what the address is. Oh, here you go. For the people who say they can't believe I had a brain injury, here's your proof.
There we go.
It's not on here, and I can't remember it. But New Day Films is the company where people can look up how to get the DVD or purchase a streaming license for their organization or their university.
I've got to ask you too, where did you come up with the name? Who am I to stop it? And I bet you people think it's a question. It's not really a question, is it?
I'm so glad you asked that. Yes, there's no question mark on it. And I am regularly having people add that question mark on there. Everybody wants it to be a question. Where the name came from is a very interesting story. So I had a very cheeseball working title when we started.
A cheeseball.
It was so cheeseball. I didn't think it was cheeseball, but Cynthia, this is my first film. Cynthia was a very experienced filmmaker at the time, and she kept saying, Cheryl, this name is terrible. It's your film, but let me just share my wisdom. This is a terrible title. Let's get something less cheesy. And so the commitment I made was that I would pay such close attention to the people I interviewed that one of them would say something that could become the title.
Oh.
Because I just couldn't think of anything on my own. So I said, okay, well, this is going to be a team effort. Y'all are going to name it. So one day we were meeting with Chris, who's on the cover of the DVD. And we weren't filming that day. This was the first time for Chris to meet the other people on the team, and we were just chatting. Chris was telling a story about this artist who wrote a letter to another artist to motivate that second artist. And she said, you're an artist, you have to create. If you don't follow your drive to create and to express yourself, the world will suffer from the loss. So please see yourself as a gift, see your art as a gift, and give that gift. Don't stop yourself. Who are you to stop your own creativity? And I went,
wise words.
Yes, wise words. And I thought, oh my gosh, I think the title is in there. And I ran into the living room and I scribbled down, who are you to stop your own creativity? Because this is a film about artists. There are 3 people in the film. They're all artists with disabilities from traumatic brain injury, or TBI. And it's not art therapy, it's not art rehab, but it's art for all the reasons that people do art.
Sure.
Self-expression, social protest, telling the stories that people won't listen to just in conversation.
Right, there you go. Whatever they need to get out.
Yes, the deep stuff. So when she said, who are you to stop your own creativity, I thought, this is what I'm going for. Because there is so much stigma, because I am one person and I get these garbage stereotype remarks like people with brain injuries don't do anything, can't do anything.
Right.
If I took those messages in, I could shut down. And a lot of people do shut down because they hear these terrible messages. Oh, you can't work anymore, so you're not productive. Oh, you're weird now. I don't like the way you communicate. I lost most of my friends. And if I had taken that completely personally and thought I'm a terrible person,
right,
you shut down, you stop your creativity, you stop striving, and the world is going to put barriers up.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? It just is.
I've lived through them. Yes, I understand that totally. Right.
And it's enough to have these impairments that you never had before and learn to get used to them or learn to try to improve your situation. Meanwhile, people are still being really discriminatory and putting these negative stereotypes on you. And so the title, Who Am I to Stop It, is like, no, this stuff is going on around me, but who am I to stop seeing myself as valuable and worthwhile with something to contribute? Maybe I can't work for pay anymore. Fine. I can still contribute to society. I'm still valuable.
Absolutely. That's beautiful.
Yeah. But it doesn't have a question mark because it's rhetorical. It's just supposed to be motivating, like, I'm going to get out there.
Right.
I'm not going to be judged by the things that I judged myself before. I may not be a perfectionist anymore, but, I think that when people lose the ability to work for pay or to be able to maintain relationships, they get trashed.
I think you're right. Yeah, and people don't realize that their own distinct abilities.
Yeah.
They think they focus on disability.
You know, I have no problem with people focusing on disability. I have no problem with
that's
that
good.
whatsoever. If you have a disability, great.
Yeah,
You are still valuable.
that's very true. That's
Yeah.
right. You're so right.
Yeah, so the who am I to stop it? Like, I'm not going to get in my own way.
That's good.
Keep moving at whatever I do. I'll keep moving. So,
That's great. That's absolutely great. Well, thank you so much for coming to our program.
yeah, thank you for having me. Should I let you know my website and
Oh,
social
yes,
media?
absolutely, absolutely.
I try to make it easy. Everything's who am I to stop it. So the website is who am I to stop. The website is whoamitostopit.com. Facebook at Who Am I to Stop It. Twitter, which, as you know, Joan, I really don't know how to use, but at Who Am I to Stop It on Twitter.
We can learn that together.
Yes, you can show me. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, tell me, have you done any other documentaries and any other films, and how can people see them?
Oh yeah, so I do short films. I've done quite a few projects. I also have a podcast. Everything lives on the blog at Who Am I to Stop It.
Okay,
So if, you know,
that's the best place to go to.
it is, and it's got
Sure.
links to my YouTube and to my Vimeo.
Fabulous.
I can't remember my Vimeo name or my YouTube name, and so I just tell people to click on the icon on the website.
There you go. That's the best way
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
Yep. Keep it simple. Well, thank you so much for being our guest tonight.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
I enjoyed being with you. My name is Joan Miller, and I'm with Civil Tongues Toastmasters. We'd love to have you as a guest sometime. We meet on Wednesdays at the State Office Building from 12 to 1. Come see us. We're a lot of fun. Have a great evening.
Welcome to TV Toastmasters. I'm Cathey Armillas, and I am here today with Sophia Asghar, who is a well-being expert. Sophia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cathey. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you, and I'm excited about this topic because I believe this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in, but really don't fully understand. And the one thing that I love about you and know about you so well is that you are an extremely thorough and very geeky person. And so
Thank you for that.
it's such a compliment. That wasn't a compliment 20 years ago, was it?
No, it wasn't. When I was in high school, it was.
It wasn't a
definitely
compliment.
A drawback.
No, but that is one thing that's a huge strength of yours, is that, everything that you do it very thoroughly. And I think a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, we want to do things too quickly. So tell me a little bit about what it is to be a well-being. What does well-being actually mean? And go a little bit deeper with that.
Yeah, I love the concept of well-being. It's something I've always been interested in, and it takes many different shapes and forms. So our well-being is it's sort of a holistic sense of goodness, of purpose, of satisfaction in life, of being a whole person. I have been in corporate wellness for over 10 years, 15 years now, and I made a shift over to well-being for two reasons. Number one, working with people, we are really working with the whole person, the person as a whole, not just their health, not just physical exercise,
Right.
not just nutrition. It's
Not one little thing, but everything.
Yeah,
and everything
about a
affects
person's
everything.
life is all tied together. That's the truth. Everything about us
Yeah.
is really integrated together. Work, life, play, family, it's all connected. Sleep.
Right.
And the other reason is now there's a bigger shift in understanding at a cultural level, at a societal level, about the well-being of the individual and how important that is versus just health. So we can pay attention to our health and improve our health, but that doesn't necessarily make us more happy, purpose-driven, fulfilled, productive, or perform better.
Wow, that's so important. I love that you distinguish between corporate wellness and now well-being seems to just be a very intentional, like we really care. So when you work with clients, I assume that your clients are really the type of clients that absolutely have the culture where they care about their employees as people first, and then realize if they're very well-rounded, very well taken care of people, they're going to be more productive, and they're going to, they're going to show up in the workplace much better, right?
Exactly. Back in the 70s and 80s and earlier, there was this general sense that of more of a transactional relationship between companies and employees that employed them. And the idea was the company would provide enough support to get as much as they could out of their workforce.
Yeah.
Right?
Wasn't even.
Yeah, language is so key here.
It is key,
yes.
right?
But in the whole concept of human resources, think about it, natural resources, coal, oil, these are things that you harvest.
Right.
Think about that for a minute.
Human resources.
Yeah, harvesting human energy. It doesn't sound too good.
That's
does
true. I've never ever thought about that. That's amazing.
Right. Yeah. And so in the last 15 or 20 years, there's become more of a understanding about when we support the whole person, we not only get more out of them, they get more out of it. And the more they get out of the experience of being part of a company that has goals and an agenda and that a whole experience, the more the company gets from them. It's really a
win-win. Yeah,
exactly.
all the way around.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. You know what though? There's something psychological too about people tend to feel very loyal when they know that people care about them. Ultimately, people want to know that they're working for a bigger purpose or for an organization or company that cares about them as people first. That's amazing.
Exactly.
So that's a great, I love that. See, I told you, you're really geeky. So you take something that the rest of the world is basically saying, oh, this is just corporate wellness, and they put a little, they check a little box and they say, hey, we do corporate wellness, and we're the, human resources department. We're, but you, Sophia, always take these things further, and I appreciate that about you. You're always growing, your knowledge and how you apply it, and you care. You personally care.
Yes.
So tell me how and when you made that transition yourself to just realize that this was of greater importance.
Oh, that story has many layers. I think I first became interested in well-being when I was a very young age. I grew up and I had a difficult childhood, and there was many times where I thought to myself, there's got to be something better than this. So I've always been very driven to try to figure out, how can I be a better person? How can I be happier? How can I be more effective? How can I communicate better? How can I have more energy? How can I have more focus? How can I learn faster, perform better, be better? And that coupled with a fascination with nutrition, and I must have been born this way. I have no idea where this came from. My mom loves to tell this story. I know you've heard it.
Yeah.
In second grade, I told her to stop using sugar
I knew
in
it was
her
coming.
cereal and tea. She loves that story. She tells it to this
Are
day.
you kidding? I know your mom. I love that
Yeah.
story. I knew it was coming. That's why I was laughing.
Who knew I was almost 50 years or ahead of my time?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that you even were saying that even when you were younger, you were already thinking about that. And I love that. That means that you're very passionate about this, obviously. And how do you help your clients? How do you help your corporate clients? Like what's the best benefit that you bring to your clients and their employees?
I think it's a whole well-rounded perspective about well-being of an individual and the context of how that applies to the performance and well-being of the company and its company culture. I have a background of over 15 years in corporate America where I was a corporate executive, and so I have experience of managing teams and all of the pitfalls of building an organization and managing teams and driving objectives, and also have been an entrepreneur for over 15 years. And so I get it from both sides.
Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice to have both perspectives, right?
Right, and I have the personal experience of my own performance because I went through my own health challenge and health journey circa 2007 to 14, where I had to learn quite a bit more than I already knew about my own personal well-being and to elevate my own performance and quality of life and see how that played out. When it came to not just my health, but my mental, emotional, spiritual, the everything, that it's all a whole package.
Yeah, I love that. And I know your personal story, and if you could touch on it for a minute, that would be great for the audience. But I know your personal story, and it's always really good when you know when somebody's teaching something that they're doing it themselves, and that they're not just applying, pie in the sky knowledge, but they're actually, it's something that they've had, and you had to work through it in your own personal life. So tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, and this, I'll tell you part of it that I usually don't share because I kind of take it for granted. And that's in the early 2000s, I started exploring exercise, and I was never athletic when I was a kid. I was always the last one picked on the kickball team.
You were too busy telling your mom to stop eating sugar. I mean, when did you have time for that?
Right, and so I never really got in touch with myself as an athlete, and I started working out really hard and discovered what it was to kind of push through being out of breath and not feeling like I was going to die. And, I mean, it sounds funny, but it's like, until you get to that point.
It's a real thing.
It is a real thing, and discovering that I was strong and I could push through and I could change my body, and I was not subject to the whims of diet fads and completely helpless to do anything to change my body, because I tried everything. The grapefruit diet, the Atkins diet, this
cold tomato soup diet.
Yes, and the cabbage soup diet.
Yeah,
remember that?
That was the one.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I struggle with that. I was never really, really heavy, but I did struggle with trying extremes.
Yeah.
And not seeing any results and being very disheartened by that. When it came to, I thought I was working out hard, but then didn't really have the environment of or a coach to show me what I could get out of my body. And then being confused by so much misinformation about nutrition. I mean, in the 80s, that's when we were trying to go low fat, and here I am eating pasta primavera with vegetables, thinking, this is
great.
healthy.
This is healthy.
Right.
That's a really good point, Sophia. I think a lot of people have been so misinformed for so long. I think people have this fatigue around what's actually healthy and what's not. First it's low fat, then it's like no, then it's like have good healthy fats, and then it's like lean meats, and then it's like no, eat all them. So I love having you as a friend. It's great because I always have. I know that you are like the primo expert in this field and in this area, but it's always so confusing, and it's so easy to just run with the next leaf that's getting blown across your lawn, so to speak.
Yeah.
But so you ended up doing that for yourself.
For myself.
And then did you realize like that you could apply this for companies? And
I figured out that I could help other people to do it for themselves, and realized that companies that were trying to help their employees get healthier didn't have systems and processes and proven methods that they could help their employees follow. It was just a way to sift out the fact from fiction and the information that we're overloaded. And one of the movements I'm really passionate about is the evolution of thinking and awareness around mindfulness, because that's one area that I think we've been really confused, and I've been through it myself. I was in software and high tech for many years, and my bachelor's degree is in physics. I was in science, and in the 80s, I grew up in the 80s, and we in corporate America, the idea was you should be separate from your emotions. Your whole emotional life has no value or no place in your work life. But now we know we are run on emotions.
Yeah.
Our engine is emotions. What do you always say? You buy on emotion, and you justify.
People buy emotionally, justify rationally.
Yeah. Exactly. And that happens at work all day long. And so it's wonderful that companies are realizing that the mental and emotional aspect of their employees and the well-being in those areas and social well-being of their employees has just a big impact, if not more, than exercise and nutrition.
Yeah.
And that is a really exciting conversation, because there's so much to learn and so much growth and so much opportunity there for everyone, employer, employee, both.
No, you're right. And this whole, sometimes too, I think people falsely accuse things like, mindfulness, and it's only for people that meditate, or, but no, it's a powerful way to tap into your mind and to tap into a greater well-being. And so, no, that's fantastic. I love that. That's what I love about you, is that you're pushing the limits of what's out there. It's like, why would you want to go to a doctor, for instance, if the doctor's like, yeah, I got my degree 30 years ago. I'm not going to bother to do any more.
I've been to some of those doctors.
Yeah, I know, right? Me too. I'm not going to bother to do any more research or keep up to date. You have to keep up to date with technology and, what we actually know. The most correct version is the one that we know right now, right?
Right, exactly. That's our best knowledge, what we know right now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, closing thought on, being good in that space of being like complete and having good well-being in your life. What would your tip be?
I think the number one thing is being curious and being open to new ideas, experimenting, trying new things, and letting yourself try things and learn from them, even if they didn't work.
Yeah.
And just having fun with that.
Oh, I love that, because you're always like, forgive yourself for whatever you did yesterday.
That's
like,
right.
Start better today.
Move forward.
I love that. Being curious. Oh my gosh, Sophia, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Love all your knowledge, and keep being curious yourself.
Thanks, Cathey.
Thank you, TV Toastmasters audience. Another great interview with Sophia Asghar, and I am your host, Cathey Armillas. Please join us again next time.